Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial, and today my guest is Sidereal and Babylonian astrologer Trifon Nikolov with the events of the coming month, June 2024. And as you can see from the title, as you can see from the title of the video, there is a powerful omen in the skies, which Trifon will talk to us about. But before I started receiving messages on your May video that you did for us with Sidereal Astrology, and you predicted that a great king or a ruler will disappear. Can you tell us a little bit more? And people are saying Trifon is again right on. The president of Iran has died, and again, the prediction was very spot on. Can you tell us a bit about that before we proceed?
Of course. Then we have to talk about eclipses and comets. Because the omen about that came from texts concerning them. Hello, everybody. So what came the meaning about that was related to the comet that was visible shortly for around the time of the great solar eclipse in April, right? And the ancients are saying that when there is a comet with such color, with such shape as it was, like similar to a disk, and they say a great king will die, among other things. Great king will die. Well, Iran is a big country, right? Like 100 million people. And their president that died was having immense power. So we can say he corresponds to a king then.
Yeah.
In this way, it was literally confirmed. And it happened very soon because it is expected when the comet makes the sign, things should happen relatively quickly in the next weeks and 1-2 months.
1-2 months within the eclipse. There was also another big event in May. This was the incredible that we saw them very far south node, the Aurora Borealis. It was in red colors, in purple, in pinks, that people saw all over the world. Do the ancient texts say anything about it?
So far, I have not seen text about it, but maybe I will. I just, yeah, I need more time to research on this. So basically, I don't know. Sorry to say, maybe you don't hear very much this from astrologers. But the colors are always important. So it depends on the colors. If it was, as we saw, a little bit rose and reddish colors, then depends on the way the red is, then it can be a bad omen, sorry to say. Of course, with red associated with Mars, potentially indicating violence. But I'm not sure about that, especially for Aurora Borealis.
Because there are usually very positive things that mythologists say about Aurora Borealis, unless it's red. But the purples, the pinks, they say it's spiritual awakening, protection from ancestors, but also a sign for a big event that's coming.
Well, let's accept this. If they say it, it must be like this. So the ancients used many things to create omens, many things from nature, including earthquakes, different things that are happening in the sky, whatever they are. Even if you remember, there was something like almost like a comet, like a meteor that literally made the sky as in the day above Spain and Portugal.
Oh yes, people were asking about that as well. It was kind of greenish or bluish. It was very interesting color.
So there is about that there is an omen. So depending on the direction, how it comes, etc. So I checked, and this interestingly means that the enemies will fall and they will be defeated. So whatever enemies Spain and Portugal may have, I know that they are not like officially in any war, but whatever enemies they can have will fall. So that's interesting.
Mm.
So we can talk about what is the enemy then for them. They let's Spaniards and Portuguese to think about that.
Pirates, I don't know.
Sometimes it's like the enemy from within, maybe.
Yeah. Oh,
If
yes.
there is peace, or other powers who are like secretly undermining their positions, then those will fall somehow.
Yes.
So it's a positive omen for them. I remember that, however, I remember one case from history books, chronicles of the ancient times in the history of Bulgaria about that. So the Bulgarian Empire was about to have a big battle with the Eastern Roman Empire, which is called in science Byzantine Empire. And in the close to the camp of the Romans fall such a very bright meteor. And they knew, obviously, what this means because they panicked. And on the following day, they were defeated, the Romans, I mean.
Because they were on the land of the Bulgarians then, and they were the
Yeah,
enemies?
they were invading Bulgaria, like
Oh, wow.
hoping to destroy Bulgaria, but there was this like very clear sign from the sky that this will not happen, and they were defeated. So in the past happened literally, but now, okay, let's say Spain and Portugal, if you have any worries, don't worry too much.
And
So
before we start with the June omens, according to ancient Babylonian astrology, I want to let know everyone that Trifon is offering 2 of his readings, one about love and relationships, and the other one 60-minute reading with him on any topic or whatever questions for a very big discount, almost like $70, and it's only for 2 weeks. So if you'd like to have a personal reading with Trifon, he's traveling over the next 3-4 days, so might be hard to answer you immediately, but once he settles back again, he's taking the readings. And yes, so you said one of them is for love. You'll hear why. Trifon is offering one of the love readings because something very important is happening in the sky connected to relationships.
exactly, the condition of Venus is gradually changing. And I'm reminding to people that Venus will become stronger in July. So her period of invisibility will end. Right now, it's more like suffering for people about love matters. Venus improved a little bit in the last days by entering her own sign, Taurus. Of course, I'm talking sidereal signs here, right? But you can check this by yourself. And so, because Venus condition is about to change, that's why the reading about love. However, let's go back to the topic of the comet. So the omen about the comet was exactly that there will be a death of a great king, and it will lower the reputation of authorities. Okay. I can say that the lowering of the reputation is going on many places. It's visible. However, because this was also related to the time of the great solar eclipse, I did not have the opportunity to mention something about the eclipse that happened in April, right, above Mexico and USA. So, of course, it's very important that it happened, and it is usually it has really grave meanings, this eclipse that happened. However, I want to mention to people that at the time of the eclipse, the solar eclipse in April, actually, for whoever was not watching personally, he may not know it, Jupiter and Venus were visible during the time of the invisibility, during the eclipse. So, and this means that whatever evil the eclipse is signifying for the next like 100 days or 3 years, depends on the astrological techniques from the length of the eclipse. So the evil will be like softened or avoided.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So in a sense, everyone is lucky, especially those in Mexico and USA and Canada, right? With this position. So this is just some comments for the past events. Now, let's move to the current situations. So there are various signs in the sky that are happening now, and which were commented by the ancients. So let's talk first before we go to the omen related to the title of the video. I will just comment first some other things. Like the risings of Jupiter and Mercury. Now, maybe you know, if you follow those videos that I'm talking about those things, that Venus is invisible now, Mercury is invisible, and Jupiter is invisible. Basically, all the benefic planets are invisible, which corresponds to lack of love, communication, and principles in this period. We can say in some ways this is not like the most challenging part of the year even, until they are invisible. But this will soon change because after 11th of June, depending on your latitude, between 11 and maybe 13th, 14th of June, depends where you live, what is the density of the atmosphere, etc. So Jupiter will rise. Jupiter will rise. When Jupiter is rising, he brings back the power of principles and truthfulness, and whatever truths has to be seen and applied, they will be obvious. This, however, is a comment from me, right? So he's rising in Taurus. And rising in Taurus, of course, indicates that those things will be important about finances, for example. Of course, Jupiter will work a lot upon the traditional moral values, because values is something that Taurus represents. But as Jupiter is rising as an 8th house lord for Taurus, also it can indicate some more critical moments about in the financial world, big changes. Let's not say crisis, but it's more like seeing the real situation and adjusting. This can indicate a lot of important decisions related to debt, national debts of countries. Back in time, when Jupiter was the last time in this position, there was a debt crisis in Europe that was ongoing, and the countries there tried to resolve it. So in looking back in history, it looks a little bit like more related to Europe, which is interesting. But let's also think about that Taurus is the rising sign of USA. Taurus is the sign, according to the ancients, of Persia, which corresponds to modern Iran and Iraq. So they can have also some financial changes and crises even. And Taurus is corresponding to Cyprus. And I can naturally relate Taurus to be connected with Switzerland. They have all the signs about Taurus, definitely. And of course, not only those countries, also probably others. One of them surely is Argentina. The modern chart of the independence of Argentina has the sun in Taurus. However, the sun in the natal chart is opposed by Saturn. And probably it's not coincidence that right now they have crisis. Jupiter in Taurus, however, will bring things closer to the truth, and only good things can result for Argentina from the rising of Jupiter as a result of the truth that Jupiter will show. So anyway, however, Jupiter is rising in a special place in Taurus, special place which is related to the stars called Pleiades. So now let's talk about the Pleiades. They are certainly getting activated by Jupiter. Whether this is good or bad, now you will judge yourselves. So the Pleiades are mentioned by the ancient authors to be of the nature of the Moon and Mars. They are thus related to taking care of others, like mother-like nature. This is the lunar part. And this is related to feeding, for example, like nations or people, I guess. And they're very much revered, right? But the part of the nature that is Mars relates to anger, to violence, to strong expressions of maybe uncontrollable energies sometimes, fighting spirit, etc. So, and millenniums, the Pleiades are associated also with those things. They are associated with storms, thunders. They are associated with violence, mortality. And when Jupiter is rising, maybe it will somehow increase those things. However, the ancients are saying that when Jupiter is, they have only this meaning. They say that when Jupiter is rising with them, as it will be the case, they say that the gods of thunder and lightning, etc., will devastate the land. Yes. So this means there will be floods, there will be strong storms. I guess this is a sign for really heavy hurricane season, which is expected already, officially. But this is the confirmation from the ancient sources about that. And maybe we'll see the first things, probably not maybe, but we'll see it towards around 11th of June already can be very strong in various places, especially those that I just mentioned that are related to Taurus, like USA, Iran, Iraq, maybe Switzerland, etc., but also across Europe, Argentina, maybe. So this is one of the effects. Natural disasters. Periodic winds are also mentioned.
A what?
Periodic winds, especially those that are from northwest. However, I found like additional information, additional texts, the ancients about that. So, for example, when it is rising, they say the angry gods will be reconciled with the land. They meant the lands, the ancient kingdoms of Mesopotamia. So this then brings some great hope for peace in the Middle East.
Oh, these are the lands of Mesopotamia, the ancient lands, yes.
Yes, so in those lands, things can get better.
The kings will be reconciled. That's what you said?
The angry gods will be reconciled. So, I mean, the heavenly forces will decide not to mess anymore. So this is the text, right? So in short, of course, this is the most important thing, not to have the heaven angry towards you, right? So surely this will be much helpful. But the text continues that the results of the agricultural labor, like they are mentioning certain things like barley, sesame, etc.
Crops.
The crops, the ancient foods that they grow. So the text is saying that the prices will increase. The prices will increase. This is already also seen in the markets, by the way. The prices are already rising, basic prices of those. But obviously, it will be more. And various products are also mentioned will be much more expensive, the ancient text is saying. So in short, the food will become much more pricey according to this ancient text. This is not a good news, of course. However, they say also that the sacred places, the shrines, we can say also the churches, the temples of various countries and religions. The ancients are saying they will, those places will see wealth. So there will be some construction of temples, some improvements, constructing new ones as well. There is another ancient text that says when Jupiter is in Taurus, he accomplishes successfully whatever concerns religious worship, was the exact expression. So Jupiter in the sign of Venus obviously is good for spiritual matters, whatever they are, which is actually logical because Venus is the planet of sacred things.
Sacred things, Venus.
Yes, Venus is definitely about anything that is sacred, and which is of course natural, like Venus is love, right? So what is more sacred? Also, they say when Jupiter becomes steady in the mornings, which means he will rise in June, but he will need some days later, like maybe 2 weeks, so that his light is not flickering anymore, but is more stable. Because when he's rising, for the first day, he will be seen for a couple of minutes only, and the next day for 7, 8 minutes, next day maybe 12 minutes, etc., etc., etc. So you need some time. And the ancient text continues that when this happens, enemy kings will make peace. People, let's hope that things in Israel and Ukraine will get resolved, because there is an ancient omen that this potentially will happen, at least in one of the places. Well, the omen probably is more about Israel. Probably is more about Israel because it was written literally in the lands close by Israel. And so, but let's hope also for other places. And because Taurus, if you remember, on the sign Taurus, actually I forgot to say that Taurus is not only USA, Switzerland, and Persia.
It's Ukraine.
But the ancients are saying it's also Scythia, and which is corresponding to today Ukraine, parts of Georgia, South Russia, Poland, Litva, Estonia, etc. So this is big land, and major part of it is actually Ukraine. Involves. So Jupiter entering will give better situation. I can say that probably Jupiter entering the sign of Ukraine will bring some big changes and crisis, towards the middle of June, but also soon after will increase their strength and condition, which is maybe a condition that can lead to peace negotiations. Well, this is at least the logic that I see, because it's Jupiter is related after all. And additional ancient texts about this condition of Jupiter the king is well, the land will become happy, the ancients are saying. This is when Jupiter becomes very bright. So this is for later, like the months ahead, right? They say the king will reach the highest rank. Okay. Whatever this can mean. Some king, someone with probably total power, will become much stronger, fortified in his position. And again, they say that there will be a flood. Again, this is related to the Pleiades, but they're adding that also the land will receive enough water, which definitely was a problem in many parts of the world. And the resulting comment is that the harvest of the land will prosper.
Okay, good news there.
So finally, so it has some two sides, you know, there will be flood, etc., but also because of this, the harvest will prosper. So, however destructive is also good in the end. And so this is mostly about Jupiter. As you can see, pretty important, as it is natural, as Jupiter is considered the king of the gods by the ancients, right? So in this new age. Before that, if you remember, in the mythology of the ancients, Saturn ruled the previous age before Jupiter. So, and there are also other things that are about to happen. Mercury, that is still invisible, also will appear in certain places of the world around 11th of June, but in others will appear like to the north much later, 24th of June. So for the more like Saturn latitudes, the rising of Jupiter, of Mercury, the rising of Jupiter, Mercury is associated with all types of good things, the ancients are saying. The rising of Mercury will bring. Okay. It's rising, by the way, in Taurus again, so this signifies good things for the same Taurus-related countries, but also for the whole world in general, and especially for those countries that are a little bit more to the south, or the states that are there. The ancient texts are continuing to say that when Mercury becomes visible in such positions, as he will be in June, one of the ancient priests is writing, let the heart of the king, which was sad, be very happy. Okay. Obviously, the rulers will have good things to commemorate next month. Mercury, by the way, is the planet of negotiations, is the planet of trade, planet of communication. So rising in this financial sign is basically good for economy, by the way, overall. And when later he makes additional appearance to the north in Gemini, 24th of June, or on this day, I'm sure that this will help for trade in general. Another meaning that the ancients are saying, however, about that is that it can bring diseases. Why exactly in the beginning of the summer, I don't know, but maybe some infectious diseases can be activated. We can see this in Europe and various other places, by the way, if you watch closely such type of information. And so, there is something else that happens 4th of June. Venus will reach the superior conjunction with the Sun. This means that it will be appearing to go behind the Sun. The kind of conjunction, but also we can say it's a kind of occultation, even though officially you will not hear this. But I think it's logical because basically she is eclipsed by the Sun in this moment. And this is central moment, by the way. If you remember, Venus is invisible already a long time, 2 months to be specific. And this eclipse by the sun maybe corresponds to this part of the legend about Inanna or Ishtar, the ancient names of Venus in Mesopotamia, when she is finally losing everything and gets tortured by the goddess of the underworld, right? But in the legend also, immediately there is a reaction from the gods of the sky who request her return because they see in the legend that nothing grows, there is no joy of any kind, etc., when Venus is not. So they request the returning of Venus. I think this is, again, the same moment, as the sun represents this central, like, spiritual authority, we can say. And in this way, it's a point from where Venus actually changes her condition and starts to go towards the light, so to say. And in the end of June, exactly around 28th of June, to be exact, in that time we'll start those 7 days before the rising of Venus, where she starts to rule the times. In short, she starts to feel stronger, her energy. So this is exactly around 28th of June, which is a very interesting date, by the way, as many other things are happening. But going back to the eclipse of Venus by the sun. So I have checked when Venus got contention by the moon, for example. This is not the case, but similar maybe. So they are saying that there will be grief to the king and much trouble. Okay, we'll see about 4th of June. I think that also it can mean that very important women and also people who are famous in art, like artists, but actually any kind of art. Well, in that time, some of those people can have big problems, let's say it like this. So this is about Venus, some big change, which is actually marking positive development later. Now you have some of the most important signs for the month. However, talking about occultations, there will be one in 2 days. Above South America, Saturn will be eclipsed by the moon. There was no ancient text about it, by the way. But judging by the position of Saturn in Aquarius, which is, related, considered to be a sign related to the waters, I think that it's quite probable to have additional water-related disasters, as they already happened a lot, like in Brazil. The sign Aquarius is, by the way, the sign of the modern Republic of Brazil. So I can relate this problems related to Brazil. Potentially, it can mean also crisis for the leaders of Brazil, including health-related issues. And this leads to the next day. Literally on the following day, Neptune also gets eclipsed. His eclipse by the moon will be happening, and actually will be visible in South Africa, Madagascar and South Africa. So for those countries, there will be much suffering and natural disasters, again, potentially related to water in that time. Let's hope it will not happen. And so this information about Neptune leads me to one of the main topics of this video. So if you remember, when I made a video about the year, the astrological new year, which I did in March, because the astrological new year usually starts in either March or April, depends on the ancient rules, how the exact heavenly combinations will happen. So I assumed the ancient way of defining those, because there are maybe like 3 different ways to do it. But I accepted the most ancient and I did the video. And in that time, if you remember, I talked about the activation of the star called Shat. The star Shat. At the time, Mercury was with Shat. So the star Shat, if you remember, has certain meanings. Why I'm talking about it now? Because Neptune, on the same day that it will get eclipsed over South Africa, on the same day, Neptune will make a conjunction, I mean exact conjunction, with this star. And so, what is this star? This star is from the constellation Pegasus. Basically, in the ancient times, this part of the sky had different names. But the main information about Chat is that it's of the nature of Mars and Mercury. So it's a star related to conflict because of Mars. And it's related to the things of Mercury, like intelligence, but also different manipulations maybe, and in general to humans, as Mercury is ruling human-shaped science. And Pegasus, if you remember the ancient legend, the winged horse, which represents swift elevation. Also the rider of this creature, which was called Bellerophon, reached great heights and positions, but was punished by the gods for his pride. Just mentioning some of the mythological features this time. And so, however, also, if you remember, this star is associated by, I can say, more modern astrologers in the last centuries, and including 20th century especially. And rightfully so, is associated with suicide, tragedy, great catastrophes, which is so. But what makes Neptune with such star? Neptune is very strong in Pisces, because now Neptune is in Pisces, right? He entered literally this year, and will stay there a long time. But this is the own sign of Neptune, Pisces. We know that Pisces is related to love, to compassion, spirituality. In general, the 12th sign of the zodiac symbolizes the society, the general condition of society, and the world, and the big indications about the world. So in this way, it can be said the general condition of the masses. It is related also to all the kind of problems that society have. As the 12th house is the house, and the 12th sign can be related also as a house of suffering, because it signifies social institutions, hospitals, prisons, etc. But this is because only is the final place of the zodiac, and the results, good or bad, of everything go there. The results, I mean, so it can be the sign of this the savior and saving people, or it can be a sign of catastrophe. So you can see there are actually 2 meanings. Depends on the actions of the past. What comes, what has been done in the past will bring its results there. This is the logic. So it has great potential for good and bad, actually. And so I checked what happened the last time, because, you know, Neptune is in the same place of the zodiac once in around 165 years. Yeah, and there we go. So the last time when he was, this happened between 1859 and 1861. He made 3 conjunctions with the star. And checking the history records, I saw there was at first, like in 1959, it indicates certain struggle for freedom in Italy, like Garibaldi and his battles. So we can say in Italy there will be some bigger movement about change. As you can see, the indication of Neptune with this star is about the battles and fights for civil rights and freedom. Pisces is associated in a way also with the shackles of slavery, because the worst results of mistakes being done throughout history is, and the greatest suffering that can come is not death, but slavery. So, but Neptune has positive meanings. He is strong in this sign. So his combination with this star is actually positive, because Neptune comes there to free societies and countries from the suffering of human deprivation, in short. And this was the first conjunction in that time. And then he made another conjunction in March of 1860. There was a lot of catastrophes in that time. There was some war for freedom happening in New Zealand. The isolationist policy of Japan was finished by USA. So there was some progress for Japan. But the most important thing that happened was in the end of January with the last conjunction. End of January 1861. 1861. Guess what happened? Big changes in USA. This is the time when the South secedes, so the South states decided to form their own union, which ultimately led to the war of abolishment slavery, the so-called Civil War in USA. And curiously, it is marked by Neptune with a star. So Neptune indicates the decisive events when he is with a star about wars for freedom. But in USA also it can indicate certain divisions between political forces that are about to become much stronger. So now when this can be expected? Now it begins in June with the first conjunction. Then there will be another conjunction in July. And the most important conjunction will happen exactly in the beginning of the spring of 2025. At that time, there will be great division happening, I guess, between the people and the political parties, with great tension in USA, and however, also in other places. It's not only about USA, by the way. This conjunction of Neptune marked in the following years, they marked great the appearance and the activation of great fighters for freedom and civil rights. So it's a sort of beginning for activation of such people and organizations who made everything possible that they can do with sometimes whatever means were at hand to improve the condition of their nations and peoples in order to have freedom and to destroy tyranny. And so this is actually what is probably Neptune indicating once more. Well, it can correspond also to the levels of social developments of society now, which means simply there will be much stronger movements for improvement of society and of dealing with anything that is against the freedom and rights of people, whatever it is.
Wow. I remember the Civil War from tropical perspective when Neptune entered on the cusp of tropical Pisces and Aries, which is where the star is exactly. So it will be fascinating watching over the next 1 year if events repeat or in a similar or different way. Thank you for
Yes,
this.
definitely. Also, I will say that I marked, I checked what kind of people were born, and the most famous people who were born was exactly of this type. I can call them like the Knights of Freedom, people who later, even 60 years later, no matter, right, when they are like grown enough, they did all in their powers to improve the condition of freedom and humans on this earth.
Amazing.
Yeah. So this starts now, June, July.
Neptune is receiving a sextile from Pluto and sextile from Uranus those years ahead, and it's already receiving it. Very close sextile, so there's hope there.
Yes, as Pluto can signify deep political change. Uranus, of course, is about freedom and progress in general. It was very powerful in USA as well at the time because Uranus at the time also crossed the ascendant of USA.
Oh.
At the same time. So a couple of positions, of course, always indicate the important events, but now we can see at least that this one of the odd signs in the heavens, which is so important, is starting literally right now. It is only 3 days, guys. We can say that this is already happening.
Thank you so much, Trifon, for the insightful information again. And thank you everyone for joining us and watching us. If you'd like to contact Trifon, I'm putting link below in the description. He's offering 2 readings for a very good discount for the next 2 weeks. And I can't wait to see you again. Trifon is going to have a course that he'll be doing, a 1-day webinar in July. We'll announce it very soon. It will be about career and how to very specifically see the mission, career in life with ancient astrology methods. If anyone is interested, check back again with us in the coming days when we announce it. Thank you again, Trifon. Thank you everyone for joining us. And yeah, may everyone be blessed.
Thank you, people. Have a great month ahead.
Bye-bye.